Do you know these moments when someone asks you how you are, and without even noticing, you answer with the problem? You talk about the stress, the task, the pressure, the conflict, the thing that is not working. And after a while, it can feel like the problem becomes your whole identity. Well, what I do as a coach is create a space where you are more than the issue you bring. Because real coaching does not only meet the problem, it meets you as a whole person. If you are listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast, follow the show. It helps more people to find this weekly pause. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to Your Amazing, your space to pause, to calm down, reconnect to your roots, awaken your spirit, and see what truly matters. This podcast is called Your Amazing for a reason. You are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. Nothing's missing, and you're not broken. Over the last episodes, I've been exploring the coactive cornerstones. First, this foundational stance: people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. Then I talked about evoke transformation and why awareness alone is often not enough if we really want something to shift. And I talked about dance in this moment, staying present and flexible with what is happening right here, right now. And then there is this one: focus on the whole person. And today I want to talk about that one. Because for me, this cornerstone is not only about coaching, it is about what happens when we stop reducing ourselves and each other to roles, tasks, and surface-level function. People are never just a role, never just the problem they bring. I'm Jorma, a coactive coach building my own practice, and I've worked in corporate for more than 20 years. And today, we're talking about what it means to focus on the whole person in coaching, in leadership, and honestly in every conversation where someone deserves to be met as more than their function. Let's dive right in. I think many conversations become narrow because quickly we go straight into the issue, the decision, the conflict, or the task, the thing that needs to be solved. And of course, those things matter, but the problem is never the whole person. In coactive, the whole person means mind, body, emotions, and spirit, not just the role, the problem, or the circumstances. So when I really focus on the whole person, I'm not only listening to the words, I also listen for emotion, what the body is holding, for the thoughts, beliefs, and values underneath, for meaning, longing, maybe even something spiritual. Whatever that means for you, something bigger than we are. And when we ignore all of that, the conversation may stay efficient, but it can lose something essential. Because the human being disappears behind the circumstances. And that is what makes this cornerstone so powerful to me. To focus on the whole person means I'm not listening to what is said on the surface. I'm listening to the energy, to what really matters, to what hurts, and what is alive. Also to what's missing, maybe. To what wants to be seen beyond the topic itself. And this changes everything, because the moment I stop treating someone only as the role they perform or the issue they carry, something opens. There is more truth, more connection, more possibility. That is where coaching becomes more than problem solving, because if I only stay with the circumstance, I may help someone manage the situation. But if I stay with the whole person, something deeper can move. And that is the edge here. To focus on the whole person means I can't get lost only in the story, the task, or the surface level facts. I have to keep remembering there is a human being here. And yes, that asks for presence. This topic touches something very personal for me. Because one of the things I'm noticing more and more in my own work and life is this. I am deeply drawn to the whole person. That is one reason why one-on-one coaching pulls me so much in right now. For more than 10 years, I've worked with teams in coaching and development settings, and very often, when teams prepare for a workshop or a meeting, they think they need to solve a problem, an issue, a communication issue, a question about their roles or clarity around that, a topic around collaboration. And yes, sometimes that is true. But the longer I do this work, the more I notice. Very often the issue they bring is not only the issue. There is something underneath. There is something human in the space and between them. And that changes the whole picture. Because when I look at a team of 10 people, I don't only see 10 roles. I see 10 whole people, 10 inner worlds, 10 different stories, 10 bodies carrying stress or something else in different ways. 10 people with values, fears, hopes, needs, and something meaningful to bring. And at the same time, I also see how complex that is. Because in team settings, not everyone wants to bring all of themselves. Some people want to keep parts of themselves private. Some want to stay in their role. Some want to keep the conversation practical, and some may even fear that bringing more of themselves would be too much. And I get that. This is not about forcing people to expose themselves, but I do think there is a cost when we shut too much out. Because when people only show up through function roles or tasks, something important goes missing. And I think that missing part often creates stress. Stress from separating ourselves. Stress from managing who I am here and who I am there. Stress from constantly adjusting, editing, or filtering parts of ourselves depending on the system we are in. And I know that from my own life too. Part of my journey has been exactly this. Becoming more of my authentic self in every system I'm part of. Showing up more fully as Yorma, not one version of me here and another one there, and a hidden version somewhere else. But more and more, one whole person. And I notice how much energy that gives back, because when I don't have to spend so much energy on splitting myself, managing myself, or fitting only into a role, something in me relaxes. There is more clarity, more aliveness, more truth, and more connection. And I think that is one reason why one-on-one coaching feels so powerful to me. Because it can be a starting point for exactly that. A place to pause. A place to notice yourself more honestly. A place to reconnect with what matters. A place to hear your mind, your body, emotions, and your deeper spirit for more clarity. A place to practice bringing more of yourself into the room. And from there, maybe the next step becomes possible. Showing up differently in meetings, in workshops, with your team, and in relationships, in all the systems where other people are involved. So for me, focusing on the whole person is not only a coaching technique, it's a way of seeing. And maybe also an invitation, what change when we stop meeting ourselves and each other only through roles and begin to show up more fully as who we really are. Because I think that is where something starts to come back into balance. And that matters deeply to me. So if I put focus on the whole person simply, for me it means 3 things. First, don't reduce the person to the problem. The issue may be real, the circumstance may matter, but it is never the whole story. At some point, the question becomes, who is the human being inside this situation? Second, widen the frame. What else is here besides the topic? What is happening emotionally? What is happening in the body? What thoughts, beliefs, or values are shaping that? And what matters at the level of meaning, purpose, or even spirit? That wider view changes the quality of the conversation. And third, speak to the human, not only to the function. That is the deepest part for me, because focus on the whole person means I'm not only relating to the manager, the partner, the colleague, the client, the parent. I'm relating to the person, the one who feels, the one who hopes, the one who carries something invisible, the one who is more than what they do. That's why this cornerstone feels so alive to me. It's not about ignoring the problem, it's about remembering that the person is always bigger than the problem. Okay, let's do a short pause together and bring one situation to your mind. A place in your life where you feel defined by a role, pressure, or a problem. And take one slow breath. And ask yourself, where have I reduced myself to function, performance, or the issue at hand? And then ask, what else is true about me right now? What am I feeling? What matters to me here? What is happening in my body? What thoughts or beliefs are shaping the way I see this? What wants to be seen beyond the role? What part of my deeper self is asking for attention? And take another breath. And now ask, what would change if I met myself here as a whole person? Just notice what comes. No pressure, no judgment. And quietly say to yourself, I am more than the problem I carry. I am a whole human being. And take one last breath. And that's the pause. Here's your question for this week. Where in my life have I confused the problem with the person? Or maybe even more simply, what changes when I stop reducing myself to my role or my struggle? If this pause helped you, follow or subscribe so you can come back next time. And if someone came to mind while listening, maybe send this episode to them. I see you in the next pause. Because sometimes the real shift is not in solving the issue faster, it is in bringing more of who we really are into the room. You're amazing. Bye.